for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Night. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio for the masses. Yeah, how you doing? How you doing? Today's Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. 83 days into the new year. Only 282 days left. We're live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? All right. Big toast. Tonight, I wouldn't have known. Renee reminded me. Tonight is show number 1400. That's a 1, a 4, and 2 zeros. 1400. Wow. There you go. 1,400 shows. I don't even know how to do the math. How do you do the math? Let's see, 4 shows a week. It's 52 weeks in a year. So that's 4 times 52. So that's 200. And then you have the 2 extra. If it's 50, it's 2. Then you have the 2 extra. Is that 208 shows a year? Is that even right math? So that means we do 100 shows every 6 months. I think that's how roughly, right? Is that? Look, I'm no PhD, but I think that's pretty good. Is that good math? 4 shows a week, 52 weeks in a year, 4 times 52, 208. So technically, I guess that's 204 shows in 6 months. So what month are we in right now? So we're March. So we have April, May, June, July, August, September. We'll be at 1,500. Is that? Man, I don't know. But tonight's show number 1,400. Thank you. All right. I posted today. I don't do numbers. And I really don't. It just all run together. But thank you, Renee, for reminding us of that. It's pretty remarkable. Tonight's show number 1,400. And tonight we welcome on show number 1,400. It's the return of Terry Lovelace. So looking forward to this. And tomorrow night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. Show number 1401 is Fader night. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And a couple of things. I got to jump through, and I did this every night this week, and I'm going to do it again tonight, in that I don't have a rant tonight. I don't have anything planned, because tonight Ronnie McMullen's going to join us here in a few minutes. So I'm just going to run through everything right now as quick as I can in 5 minutes. That's right. I'm just going to run through everything. Tonight, Terry Lovelace. This weekend, Saturday, the 27th, Saturday night, I will be doing a ghost investigation with the Dark Zone at the LAPD Police Museum. And I'll be there Saturday night. The event itself is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's simple enough to do. Get over to thedarkzone.tv. That's it. Go and get your tickets. I'll be there all night. I almost said Wednesday. I'll be there all night Saturday. All right? Saturday. It's going to be great. I'm so looking forward to it. Man, I had Ryan Cassidy on the show last night. Ryan Cassidy. Unbelievable. I can't wait to get him on the show. I cannot wait. And get your own crystal skull. Do it now. Go to Carolyn Ford's website. It is Einstein, thecrystalskull.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Go and click promo code Jimmy. 10% off of your order, right? And I will also be at the UFO MegaCon June 6th through the 12th in Laughlin, Nevada, an in-person real conference. Come and hang out with us 1 week, a full week. Laughlin, UFOMegaConference.com. Again, the links are everywhere throughout our social media. Go and click. Get your tickets now. It's going to sell out. All right? I want nothing but Fade to Black t-shirts there. I just want to see a C. I miss that. I miss that. So, yeah, go and get that done. Also, through tomorrow night, River Moon Coffee and Fade to Black have a very special offer just for you. Go and get it done now. Okay? It's very simple. All you got to do is go to their Amazon store. That's it. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Head over to their Amazon store. And tonight through midnight tomorrow, you can get our world-famous Fade to Black blend coffee for an additional 50% off of your already discounted pricing with the promo code JimmyFade15. All upper caps, I understand. I think it's all upper caps. JimmyFade15. The deal of the year right there. It's somebody's birthday, and this is our birthday celebration. But I'll announce that tomorrow. All right. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Jim Parsons is 48. The Big Bang Theory. Jessica Chastain is 44. Of course, the star of Interstellar. Allison Hannigan today is 47 years old. And I know what you're going, Allison Hannigan, who? What? I'm going to say one thing. This one time at band camp, that's right. Happy birthday, Allison, 47 years old. Bassist Nick Lowe today is 71. Nina is 61, 99 Luft balloons. Bass goddess Carol Kay today, 86 years old. Probably, certainly the most prolific bass player in history. Probably the most recorded, most hit, most of everything. 10,000 recordings in a career spanning over 50 years. She played bass on everything you've ever heard. Happy birthday, Carol Kay. On the State in History, OTD, 1958, Elvis Presley is inducted into the Army. Fader fact. Okay, I'm doing this in celebration of the show tonight, and I hope Terry Lovelace is listening right now. Fader fact, Vermont was an independent republic. The Republic of Vermont, their own country, that lasted from 1777 until 1791, after they broke away from Quebec. That's right, Canada. So, yeah, the United States got both Vermont and Wayne Gretzky. I'm just saying, we got them both from the Great White North. It's vetted. That's a fact. That's a fact. Tonight, very special guest. It is the return of Terry Lovelace. Stay right there, kids. Tomorrow, it's another Fader night with open lines all night long. And right now, on time, I want to welcome to Fade to Black, the voice, the man, Ronnie McMullen. Ronnie, good evening.
How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good. I made it.
See, this is the thing. It ain't live radio unless you're tense. That's it. I got to be tense. I got to be tense. Where's Ronnie? Don't know. Anybody heard from Ronnie? Haven't heard from Ronnie. Okay. We go live in 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. Okay, haven't heard from Ronnie. I don't have anything prepared. I know. Okay, well, what are we going to do with the dead space? I don't know.
Oh, I have faith you'd pull it off, but I do like coming on the show. I don't want to burn that privilege.
Oh, man. Could you imagine the broken hearts, Ronnie, if I said something like, Ronnie McMullen had his voice box removed today, and he will not be appearing on the show ever again. The email, the drama, the sadness.
Wow, that's a movie.
That is a movie. That is a movie. How's life, man? Hey, before we move forward, I always like to share with the world. I don't do it until you're on the show with us. But my health drama, right? I'm always going through weird stuff. And it's it's nothing life-changing. It's nothing life-changing, but everything that I go through, I fix with Ronnie McMullen. And it's just like this weird thing. Oh, man, I feel weird. Life Change Tea. We've got something in here, don't we? We do. Ronnie, that's so funny. So a couple of weeks ago, I went through this crazy thing for about 2 or 3 days. And it was just my digestive system, all the way through. Nothing, it's nothing gross or anything like that. But I had this weird feeling in me. And you know what, Ronnie? It was doubling up on the tea. It was taking GI Joy and a couple of other things. And it just got me right. It got me right. And after about 3 days of just feeling weird, I woke up in the morning, and next to our bed is the master bath. But when you look through the bathroom door, there's a giant mirror in front of the sinks, right? You know what I'm talking about, which I can see from my bed. I sat up, I looked right through the bathroom at myself in the mirror and said these words: I feel great. Oh, man. And it's because of you. And so thank you. I don't even know what was going on. It's, when you were young, I'm rambling now, but when you're young and you've got an issue, there's just, I'll put mercurochrome on it, do this, it was like the cure all for everything. I don't feel well. Take a baby aspirin. Okay. All right. You know what I mean? It was just always that. And that's what I do with Life Change Tea. There's always the go-to and I get fixed. I do. How you doing? How's life?
Life's good. It's always changing. You know what I was going to ask you? You're over there in California. So what is the deal with Newsom? You guys can't seem to get rid of him.
Man, I don't do politics on the show, but that dude right now, that dude is everybody's best friend. If you want you know what I mean? Right now, he's in the hot seat. So if you want something done right now in California, now's the time. Now's the time to speak up, because you're going to get whatever ails you. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Yeah. So you're coming out this way, right?
Yes, I am.
And
be visiting the Ventura beaches.
Okay. All right. Are you driving?
Yes, driving.
You're driving. And you're going to drive to the Ventura beaches.
Yeah, I've actually got some business up in Los Olivos, but you got to stop at the beach when you're at the beach. You just got to stop.
There's a million places to do that too, as well. That's the beautiful thing about the California coast. You just go, you pull over when you're ready. The rest of it is just driving and looking out the window, going, "Man, I love this country."
Yes,
it's pretty amazing.
Grateful comes up.
Well, you know what? And the farther north you go, the more, look, there's nothing wrong with Malibu and Zuma and Santa Monica and all of that. And it's beautiful in the homes and stuff. But once you get out of that stretch and you are truly heading north, the beauty gets more dramatic. You have less houses, you have all of that. And once you get through all of that, you go through Monterey and, past San Francisco and keep going north. Yeah. It gets a little nippy. It's a little windy.
It's a different kind of beach than San Diego. It's cold and sometimes breezy and, but I still love it. It's still beautiful.
It's dramatic.
It is.
The stuff that you see, it is incredible. It is just, it's the California coast. There's nothing like it in the world. There's nothing like it in the world. So
I agree, but I'm a native Californian, so that's cheating.
Yeah, it is cheating. But you're coming out here, and again, I'm not going to see you. You're just going to blow past us and head straight to the good stuff. I'm
just going to wave at you, though. So do you see my wave?
Yeah. Just call me.
Actually, you're just so busy. I'm lucky to get it, but Rita invited me, so that was sweet.
Yeah, she told me, and I don't know. Maybe we can. I don't know. Maybe we can pull something off. I'm working Saturday night. I'm doing a ghost investigation with the Dark Zone, so I'm going to go out and do this live TV thing, which is cool. But I'm free Friday and Sunday. Let's do this. Let's do this on the air right now. Let's do this on the air. What is?
Nuts, you can join us for dinner.
Yeah. Well, what's your favorite stop on the coast before we get to Life Change Tea?
My favorite stop on the coast? You mean for food or?
Yeah, just your favorite stop.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean. Yes, I do. There's a favorite that kind of gets me warm in the heart and it gets me warm in the food, and that's in Burbank, Bob's Big Boy.
Oh, really? Okay.
I know, isn't that crazy? But it has to do with the child thing.
Well, yeah, it does, and it is a lot of fun. I was thinking something up the coast, though. You're going to Ventura.
Yeah, Ventura. There's a couple of Mexican food places that are pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, no. Ventura's full of restaurants and especially right there on the water. There's a lot of stuff. But going north, I mean, once you get past Santa Barbara, because then you have like Naples, you have Gaviota. But then once you go up past.
You got Pismo.
Yeah. See, what you want to do, you want to get to Pismo Beach. You want to go to Morro Bay. Morro Bay is just absolutely incredible. Great seafood. I like all of those spots. Cambria is great. Ragged Point is cool.
And then, of course, you go all the way up there. You go to Big Sur.
Well, see, yes. I like
but
things.
Big Sur's almost touristy now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, go just past Big Sur, right? You know what I mean? Big Sur itself is not the Big Sur from the 1970s and 1980s. No. It's
still beautiful, but it's kind of overrun.
I like that giant rock that's there, and.
But you guys have big pieces of roadway being lost on Highway 1. I mean, what's with that?
Now, I don't I'm wondering if you have to go around all of that. Because that dropped into the water.
Oh, I know. I mean, fixing that's going to be they might bridge that one.
It's that's exactly right. I thought about that. I looked at that, I thought, what are you going to do? You can't fill that in.
No, I'd take a bazillion trucks and it'd go away.
Right. No, you got to build a bridge.
So
You got to build a bridge.
is Newsom behind that? No, just kidding.
Oh man, you had to go there. You had to go there. You know what's, speaking of, and again, we don't do politics on the show, but I do find it interesting how, and it's not just Gavin Newsom. There are a lot of governors, Cuomo. There's a lot of governors around the country right now that are knee deep in it. And it's.
Oh, I know.
I
think if Trump was it, he'd say you're fired.
Well,
reminds me of the show.
Yeah, it's governors. We have other issues that are going on too. Newsom's not the only recall that's going on. We have our Gascon, our district attorney, and he's got a recall going on. And so
no, I think people are recalling not necessarily people; they're recalling corruption.
Well, we've had, how many years ago was it? We recalled our last governor and replaced him, and that happened. I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? They're going to do this? And it was like overnight. Bam. They signed, you got to get like 2 million signatures on the petition. It happened right away. And we replaced our last governor.
Wow.
I don't know if there was a governor in between. Let's see. Recalled California governors. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, 2003 recall election. And I'm trying to think what that governor, who that was. I can't remember who that.
Was it Brown?
I think Brown replaced him. Let's see.
You had Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger was after that. Man.
And Cranston, but that's way back.
Okay, recalled. Okay, this is what's weird. We are now about to run out of time. Okay, hold on. Recalled California governors list.
List. That tells you a lot right there.
Oh, man. Gray Davis.
There it is.
It was Gray Davis. Schwarzenegger replaced him. And that's how that happened. So we've replaced 1994, 1995, 2003. Those are all successful recall attempts, not necessarily with governors. And here in California, we just don't play around. We don't play around. You just goof off just a little bit. And we are
knock you out, baby.
Yeah, we are recall happy. We are recall happy.
Good,
all right, so what's going on? Here we go. We're out of time. What's going on over at Get the Tea at the end of the month?
For people that have type 2 diabetes, beautiful special. And T on the other special front page, scroll down, there it is, Fader, Fader, and you get free shipping. And I'm gonna have something real special next month too, for just to really up the ante. So be listening.
Now I got my my ASTA from you this month. Thank you so much for that. And
Astaxanthin.
Yeah. I got that from you this month, and that's a pretty good ASTA and the Super Tea for just $53.
Yeah.
Am I reading that right? And then you're going to get free
right.
shipping on top of that?
Well, and the astaxanthin's for the eyes and for the immune system, so it does a lot.
And the knockout is only $79.
And let me tell you something.
That's
just
almost
so that people
20.
know-
Wait. That's almost $20 off.
Yep. Plus free shipping.
Plus free shipping.
The other thing to realize is Minerals Plus is in there. Minerals Plus is a beautiful product. But real quick, because I know you got to go. If you have RO water, you're probably low on minerals if you're not taking them. So make sure you get your minerals, because it can make you really drowsy, tired, and kind of lethargic. So make sure you get your minerals if you got RO water.
Now, and really quick, can if somebody orders, like say the knockout, Can they order another flavor of tea, or is this the original tea?
I think it's a super tea, but I'm sure if they made a phone call, as long as they didn't sit on the order a long time, I'm sure somebody in the office could swing something different.
Because I got to tell you, this week I've been doing the pomegranate.
Isn't it good?
Man. Can you make a blueberry tea?
I probably can. We're actually working right now for citrus.
Okay, citrus is good. Well, the original, the super strength, it's got that citrus little thing going on.
It's got a little kick to it.
Yeah, it's got a little kick to it. But
Palm's my favorite.
Yeah, that pomegranate is tasty, man. Tasty. And because of it, I know that I probably dose on it a little bit, 2 big glasses a day. And
well, that's good though, because they're dosing chemicals and crap on us. So if you're double dosing a little bit or just heavy dosing, it's just only going to just clean you out real good and make you feel good.
I strongly, highly recommend the pomegranate, the palm tea. I like the original. I'm still stuck on that. But,
the palm tea's just got a little bit of sweetness, just a teeny bit.
No, it's palm. Yeah, it is. It's just, it's subtle like all the teas are that you make. Yep. But it's just enough to go, yeah, this is palm. This is good. Yeah.
I like the peppermint, too. Peppermint's pretty ripping.
Yeah, the peppermint's good. Peppermint's good.
It just depends on what you feel like.
I still like the original, though. The super strength and over ice. Good. Oh, man, it's just so good.
Especially in the summer.
Ronnie, thank you so much, my friend. Have a safe trip out here, and maybe we'll be able to break some bread. All right? I haven't seen you in a long time. So
it's been a while.
Have a safe trip.
All right. Love you, brother.
Love you back. Ronnie McMullen, Life Change Tea. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Terry Lovelace. I want you to go over to getthetea.com. Amazing specials right there on the specials page, on the home page. Get the knockout right now. Normally $95, $79, and free shipping with the promo code FADER. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I will be right back with tonight's guest, Terry Lovelace. This is Fade to Black. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you got to do. The Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Fate or not, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Matthew. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Wow, what a night, what a day, what a week. I love my gig. I do, especially tonight because Terry Lovelace is back. It's going to be a great show tonight, great conversation. During the break, which I just don't. We have so many different feeds that go out to different radio stations and networks for the syndication. And one of the feeds that we do send out is over to Facebook. And not that I don't appreciate everything and everybody, but I can't go. I don't know what's going on out there. And I have never gone to our Facebook feed during the show. I never have. It just happened to pop up. And there, I'm just going to say it. I don't ever do this on the show, but I'm going to do this right now. Hold on a minute. Okay. All right. I never do this on the show. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to embarrass a few people. I want to say hi to Lynn. And Lynn and I have been friends. I don't even know how long, but I would say on the far side of 40 years. We go back a long, long ways. Oh, man. I met Lynn. I'm going to do this really quick. I met Lynn when I came back from Panama for a vacation in like 19... Oh, man. Hold on. I'm going to bring in Terry. Terry's an attorney. Okay, Terry, 1978. How many years ago was that?
Let me see.
Oh, man. See, that's 12, it.
Like in 1890.
Right? And that's incredible. And then right below, and so Lynn just said, hey, and I said, hey, back. And right below her is my friggin' brother-in-law. My brother-in-law. Now I'm all intimidated. Big, how you doing, brother? All right. He's a block away from me, but he's watching me on Facebook. Oh, man. How cool is that? Rita, Big's in the house. I'm just letting you know now. Big is right here. And that is just hysterical to me. Okay. All right. Now I'm thrown off. And see, that's what Facebook just did to me. And jumping in. That's why, Terry, let me get your introduction out of the way so we can start this conversation. But it's good to have you back. Your new book is out, Devil's Den, The Reckoning. And I want everybody to know that Terry was, of course, the author of Incident at Devil's Den that we premiered on the show when the book was released. It has been way too long since Terry has been back with us on the show. He is a lawyer. He was former assistant attorney general. He was active duty in the Air Force from 1973 to 1979 and trained as a medic and an EMT. His entire enlistment was spent at Whiteman Air Force Base in western Missouri. He ended his enlistment and completed a bachelor's degree in psychology at Park University and a Juris Doctor from Western Michigan University. That's where my dad graduated college.
I remember.
Yeah, we talked about that. And we lived... oddly enough, let's just jump straight ahead. I've got Terry's links over at jimmychurchradio.com, terrylovelace.com. Go and get a copy of the new book. It is an incredible page turner. The whole story from beginning to end, all of the experiences are absolutely incredible. So going back to Western Michigan, Terry, before we get into the show tonight. Okay, this is where we lived. Okay, so the clock tower and the mirror pools, right? At Western Michigan. Okay, so if you're in between the clock tower and the mirror pools, and now you're looking out over the mirror pool, right? Right? Okay. You go to the left, and there's a street that goes up the hill through the trees.
Yes.
We lived at the top of that street, and it was called Redwood Drive.
Drive.
Yeah. So from our house, and we were on the corner. So if I went down, and I did this all the time, if I went down to like the corner of the yard, stayed in the grass, right, didn't step in the street, but like at the stop sign, I could look down the wine, and I could see the mirror pool and the clock tower from our house. And that's that's where we lived. And that's where my dad graduated college. Yeah. Pretty trippy.
Did he teach there?
What's that?
Did he teach there?
No, he went to school there for music. He went to school there for music. He was active duty in the Army at the time and somehow weaseled his way into going to college while still being enlisted. So we went from Chicago, from Fort Sheridan, went to Kalamazoo, right? So he could go to school. Yep. He graduated, and we went back to Fort Sheridan in Illinois. So we were there a couple of years. Yeah, my memory says like 2.5, 3 years. And in the thick of it, too, because that was like 1970. So you had the demonstrations, you had the hippies, you had everything that was the 60s rolling into the 70s. 1970 at Western Michigan. I got to see it all. It was pretty cool.
I think the draft was still up and running then.
Oh, yes, it was. Funny you mentioned that. When I turned 18, I'll never forget this. I turned 18. On my birthday, mailman shows up and delivers my draft card. On my 18th birthday, they didn't mess around, right? And my mom comes in and hands it to me, and it's a draft. You got to fill it out, right? And I think you have to take it to the post office, and my memory was like you had to sign it in person, so and return it. So I've got it, and I was just so bummed out about it. I'm like, man, I'm going to get drafted. I know this. And that day, this is October 10th, 1981, on my birthday. The next day, they ended the draft on like October 11th. I couldn't believe it. And my mom my mom comes in and she goes, "Did you take the draft card to the post office today?" And I said, "No, I'm going to do it tomorrow." She goes, "Well, they ended the draft today." Like, so I never even sent mine in. Yeah, I guess historically, you know what's funny about that whole thing? I suppose historically with Wikipedia, we could go and look up the dates and get specific, but I'm pretty confident in my memory here on how that went down. It was like on my birthday or the next day, they ended the draft, and I never sent in my card.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I got mine in 1972.
That was that was 81.
Yeah, that they ended the draft. My draft card came 1972.
Oh, your draft card came in. You're that much older than me.
I guess so.
You look younger. And see,
well, you got a lot of hair. See, I don't have any hair anymore.
Oh man! Now let's back up a minute. And I remember, this like it was yesterday. Daryl Sims is over at our house, and we were having dinner and drinks. And we were sitting on our back patio late, and he introduces us to you. And I think we called you that night, and made the connection, and then you and I talked the next day. But at that time, you didn't know if you were ready to make the big step, right? But you did.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote this book more as a catharsis than anything. I really expected I'd sell 100 copies and have a box of 50 in my garage left over or something. But I've been pleasantly surprised that it did so well. And yeah, I do remember your phone call, and that was a decision. And your show really was the launching pad for what became an unexpected second career, and put me in the role of researcher that I never thought I'd be in. But just introduced me to a wonderful world of people. You know, I was afraid of losing my friends, my peers in the legal community. You know what? There are so many good people in this UFO culture, this UFO community that we have, that now I don't regret a thing. This is where I belong. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and I remember you back then because I felt like I was being a salesman. Right, I'm giving you the pitch. Right, come on, Terry. It's a great show. You'll have fun, and it'll be. And you're like, well, I got the book. I think, I don't know, because this is a big step for anybody to take, but you did take it, and the community and their reaction. I was telling you this a couple of weeks ago. The reaction of the community with you was something that just brought great joy to Rita and I to see you welcomed like that. And were you reticent at first?
Yeah, maybe a little. I have no fear of public speaking, but this was the first. Your show was really the first time I got on and realized I was connecting with your audience, and that's a responsibility. This is like any aspect of public speaking. Like I used to speak in a courtroom and in front of jurors, and that carries a lot of responsibility.
Sure.
And so does this, to tell a story honestly without embellishment. And it's great. It's fun. I enjoy it. I like it. I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity to get on here and get my feet wet.
Well, and thank you for that. And but I remember, and I actually want to go back, not in great detail, but for the audience out there that may not know your story, we'll take a brief walkthrough of Devil's Den really quick. But I remember reading your book, and it was such. The story was detailed, and it wasn't like one night, right? This spread out over and back off the base and everything else that was going on. And your wife and the other enlisted personnel that were around you. That being said, the incident was an incredible read. Even for me, I'm sitting back going, this is like a movie. This is crazy. Looking back at that and thinking about it now, what goes through your mind?
Well, I kept a pretty good journal of everything that was going on. When this all started and we had our sighting, we were under investigation by the Air Force Security Police, the Office of Special Investigation. And I didn't know if I was going to be charged with a crime. I knew that we had trespassed on the federal land, but, we didn't burn the forest down or anything. But they knew what we saw. No doubt in my mind about that. When I look back at this, I had those journals, and my wife knew right where they were. They were in a storage locker up in Michigan. She got them for me, and I kept good notes, and that's why I'm able to give such good detail in this. Was because I thought, if they charged me for a trespass or something, I want documentation. So I kept two journals. I kept one journal that had the true story, including the UFO, and then the other one I had a sanitized version where I just kind of left the part about seeing a UFO the size of Walmart. I just kind of left that out. That would be the version I'd give the OSI.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so take us through the abridged version of that night. You're with a friend, and you head out, and you're going to go, was it fishing? Camping.
We were going to go camping.
Camping.
My buddy had the idea to go camping. Now, I had never been camping in my life. He had never been camping in his life. And I don't know where this idea came from, but that's, it kind of grew on me. I said, sure, let's go. So we drove 6.5 hours south to Devil's Den State Park in the northwest corner of Arkansas. And if you've read the first book, it's got a dark history to it. I actually have an update on that I could give later. But we set up a campsite on top of this plateau that's still there. We didn't stay in the campgrounds. We went. There was a chain across the road. We breached that, and we thought we were going into a nature preserve, but we found out that this is all federal land. It's not even part of Devil's Den State Park. So we did all the fun stuff you do, and we're kicked back on these air mattresses about 9:00 p.m. We had a campfire between us, and it went silent all of a sudden. I mean, abruptly. It was just like I felt like I was in a sound booth. And I asked my friend, I said, hey, man, is this normal? Like he's going to know. And he says, yeah, it's okay. The crickets, the tree frogs, all that stuff, they'll come back. We were just loud, and we quieted them. But it unnerved me. And he turned his head to the left, which was to the west. And he asked me, hey, Terry, were those lights there before? And I'm like, what lights? I couldn't see him from my position because his torso was in the way. So I stood up, I took a step back, and sitting on the western horizon was a tight bundle, little triangle of 3 stars. They're all the same luminosity. And we're looking at these things, and they're too high to be lights from a parking lot or a train, or too far above the horizon. And they were absolutely stationary. And we're talking about what they could be, and then they moved. And what they did was they rotated like they were on an axis and did about a 120-degree turn to the right and aligned the bottom of the triangle parallel with the horizon. And then it went up in the air. And it went up to, I don't know how far, I have no point of reference. I'm guessing 10,000, 12,000 feet. And then leveled off and then pointed down, oriented down with the apex of the triangle pointed in our direction. And started like this glide plane down. And I felt this wave of calm wash over me. Now, our emotions were muted. We should have been, interested, freaked out, something, but we were just sedated. And this thing flew in and landed over the top of this meadow. We were offset from it just a bit along the tree line. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy, it was huge. I mean, it was a city block on each length of the triangle, and the triangle was deep. It was 3,000 feet over our heads. Well, in the morning, we discovered it had descended to just 30 feet over our heads. And that's when I discovered my boots had been unlaced and my socks were on sideways. So someone had undressed us and then redressed us. So that's now, the capsule version.
Yeah, that's freaked out is the right word. And the fact that you weren't is pretty bizarre, especially if this is the first time and you don't know what you're seeing. There was a couple of other things now. I want to get back to the craft in a second. But then there was the question of a camera. And how did that come into play? Or did you remember this?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. And that kind of speaks to the way that we did the right preparation, but somewhere in the execution, the wheels fell off this thing. And, all the important stuff we were supposed to bring with us, we left at home. Now, I was an amateur photographer. I had a little dark room set up in my house, a little black and white camera, but we both lived in NCO family housing. We lived on a nuclear base, and you can't stroll around with a camera when you live on a nuclear base. It's just kind of frowned upon. So I really wanted to get out and photograph some wildlife. When we got back, we were questioned by the OSI and individually, and I think their biggest fear was they thought that I had a 36 exposure roll of black and white prints of this thing that we saw, and I didn't. I left my camera at home. Now my friend Toby had a camera in his bag sitting a foot from him. And the thought of taking a picture never occurred to either one of us. And I think that speaks to the influence that these things have over us, just the way that we stayed calm. We didn't freak out. We went to the tent and went to bed with this thing 3,000 feet over our heads. And I'm sure as soon as we were asleep, that's when they took us.
Now, okay. Going back to the night, let me look at, we've got about 2 or 3 minutes before the break. Going back to the night, the last memory that you have is the holy crap, this thing is huge, right?
Well, not quite. The last memory we have is seeing that the thing had descended from 3,000 feet to 30 feet over the meadow.
Right.
I saw about 12 or 15 of what I thought to be kids. I thought they were little kids. And I asked my buddy, hey, what are these kids doing out here in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night? And he said, look at them, Terry. Those ain't no little kids. And he said, don't you remember? They took us and they hurt us. And that's when flashes of memory. I never had a clear linear memory of what happened to us, but I had flashes of what happened to us. And we saw them go back into the craft, and then we watched it take off, just lift off like a hot air balloon and went straight up in the air and was gone.
Now, at that point, and this is where I was going with this, was there a gap in your memory then?
No. My memory, I didn't have a clear memory of what all happened to us aboard the ship. That's not clear. I only have vignettes, pieces, stuff that's haunted my dreams, stuff that came out during the OSI interrogation.
Right.
But I really had no missing time that I'm aware of, other than the 6 hours or so that they took us while we were asleep. Those hours, of course, I can't account for.
Right. You can't account for those. And so now when you wake up in the morning, how do you have that conversation? What did we do last night? Were there kids here? How do you have that conversation?
Well, we woke up with these flashing lights through the tent. And that's when I noticed my boots were unlaced. And I know I didn't go to bed with them like that. And my socks were on sideways. And that didn't frighten me, but it confused me. And then when I looked outside and I saw that this thing had descended to just 30 feet over the ground, and I saw these little guys walking around the meadow.
Right.
Then I was scared. That's when the gates opened and the fear came out. I was scared to death. I was afraid we were going to cough or sneeze, or make some noise, and these things were going to come over and visit us. But we had no way of knowing. They were long done with us.
Yeah, but in the morning, the conversation. How did you guys speak to each other?
This is the morning, and what we did was we waited for them to leave, and it was still dark outside. I didn't want to leave the tent. I wanted to stay in the tent until it was daytime.
Right.
And our discussion, two people go through an event like this. You should want to validate your experience. You should want to say, hey, did you see what I saw? Can you believe this? Was this thing for real? But there was none of that. It was just not right. There was none of that. And I think we said 2 or 3 words to one another. I mean, we agreed that we would not tell the Air Force because we knew we were hurt. We were burned and our eyes were messed up. We were severely dehydrated. We agreed we'd tell the Air Force that we didn't see anything. We went to bed feeling bad, and we woke up feeling worse and just decided to come home because we left all our stuff there. We left our tent.
That was where, okay, I want to actually pick up there when we come back after the break, because that's one of the most interesting parts of this whole thing is you guys left your gear. Right? You guys just split. Yeah. You just split. And I remember asking you this so many years ago. What is that conversation like in the car, right? I mean, because you're both thinking the same thing. What is that conversation like, Terry?
I think this speaks to their influence over us. We were changed. This event changed us. This guy I worked with for 3 years, he's my best friend in the world. On our days off, we barbecue, we play cards. His wife, my wife are friends. And my feelings toward this guy changed. And that's not uncommon for people to, for the band to break up. Everybody goes a different direction. I mean, I didn't hate the guy, but I didn't want anything to do with him. And I can't reconcile that emotion, but that's the way I felt. So there was no real conversation on the way back. And he was in a lot more pain than I was. Whatever they did to me, they gave him a double dose because he was just doubled up on that big bench seat in my old 66 Impala.
Right. Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only Terry Lovelace, he is back. And the new book is out. It is Devil's Den, The Reckoning. You can go to terrylovelace.com. It's right there. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Incident in Devil's Den was an Amazon #1 bestseller. The new book, same thing. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford of crystalskull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Terry Lovelace is here. Tomorrow night is Fader Night with open lines all night long. And I want to remind everybody this weekend we'll be over with the Dark Zone and doing a ghost investigation at the LAPD museum right here in Southern California. It's in Atwater, like around the Glendale area, right next to Burbank, where we are right now. I'll be there Saturday night. The entire investigation goes on all weekend long, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 24 hours live. And you can go and get your tickets and info over at thedarkzone.tv. Our guest tonight, Terry Lovelace. And Terry, I highly recommend the book, Incident at Devil's Den, and I want everybody to go and get it. It chronicles everything. There's so much detail to what Terry went through. But I want to focus on what has been happening with you since then, and of course, the reason to write the new book. As you got into the UFO community, now let's go back. We're talking about 2014, so that's about 7 years, right? It's about 7 years ago.
Yes.
Does that feel right?
That feels right. I mean, I was talking to Daryl Sims, and he was looking at my x-rays, and I was outlining a book, but I really didn't have my first public speaking, first coming out, I guess, until September 2017. I went to a UFO conference down in Houston, and I didn't have anything in print yet, but I talked to Daryl Sims and met Travis Walton. And I said, hey, I've had an experience. And, Travis was nice, but I could see him kind of roll his eyes, I'm like, let me just tell you what happened to me. And we ended up talking for the next 4 hours. It's just like, when you run into somebody, like, I kept running into Calvin Parker or somebody that's had an experience, you just connect on some level.
Was there high strangeness in those 4 years leading up to Houston?
Yes. There was. What changed was in 2012 when I had this X-ray on my leg and I could see these implant things. If you go to terrylovelace.com, you can see the original X-rays. And the thing above my knee looks like an electronic component of some kind. And the things below my leg are like this collection floret pattern of bone tissue just sprouted in the middle of my calf muscle. And when I saw that, I mean, I never had any intention of writing a book or speaking publicly about this. But when I saw that, that validated to me, that confirmed that these things had put their hands on me. And that was just hard to live with. And
this is what's pretty amazing, is that up to that point, 2012, 2013, you're still a professional. You're still in the law game. You had gone through American Samoa and the state's attorney for the Vermont's Board of Medical Practice, and that ended in 2012. You're still in the professional mindset, right? And to have this suddenly revealed to you, it just must have been a complete shock.
It was a complete shock. I left the state of Vermont in January of 2012, moved to Dallas so we could be with our kids and grandkids. And I went to the Dallas VA, and this thing was so unusual. They called the radiologist down to look at it, and he came down and was quite annoyed to be called down. But he looked at my X-ray and said, did you have an accident? Did you run into a radio or something to account for this thing in your leg? And I said, no, I've never had an injury to that leg other than a skinned knee as a kid. And he said, well, you have to have a scar there. And he rolled up my pant leg again and said, look for a scar. There is no scar. And he was upset by that. And I said, well, doctor, let me ask you, how often is it that you see a foreign object like this in the human body and there not be a corresponding scar? And he said, never. I said, I've been a radiologist 23 years. I've never seen this. I have no way to account for how this thing got into your leg.
And the high strangeness part of it, what happened?
Oh, the high strangeness part was, multifaceted. It was a telephone call from Tom DeLong, a visit by Lou Elizondo, 168 photographs of helicopters doing donuts over my house, weird poltergeist-like behavior in my house, television turning itself on in the middle of the night, things moving around the house, my wallet ending up on top of the water heaters for somehow. Weird things like, I went to buy some birdseed. I paid the lady and she said, oh, I'm out of nickels. Can I give you pennies? I said, sure, no worries. I don't care. They were busy. I was busy. As soon as those pennies hit my hand, I knew that one of them was what I call a wheat penny. A penny made before 1959 that has the sheaves of wheat on the back side of it, and it says 1 cent. In 1959, they changed it to show the picture of the current
Lincoln Memorial. Yeah.
I knew that there was an old penny in that mix. I knew it. I saw it in my mind's eye. I stuck the change in my pocket because I had a 50-pound birdseed on my shoulder. Went out to the car. As soon as I got home, I went to take my change and throw it in my change drawer. As soon as my hand touched that change, I knew. And I opened my hand and I looked at it. Honest to God, true, there was a 1955 wheat penny. Happens to be the year I was born.
Do you still have it?
I do.
1955 is a special year for the wheat penny. Now, you're going to say to yourself, Jimmy, how do you know these things? I just do. But the 1955 also was the 1955 double die.
Die, yes.
Yes. Was it a double die? Did you take a close look?
You bet I did.
Okay. Oh, man. Terry and I have not discussed this before. This is pretty amazing. So it wasn't a double die?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was not.
Because you were suddenly rich, right?
Yeah.
Now, when this type of high strangeness, everything that you just listed right there, for us in the community are like, yeah, okay, all right. But there are those out there that are listening going, now, come on. And for you,
Yeah, I think that's human nature. You want to jump for for an explanation. You want to look for some reason for this to happen. But after 9 years, whatever it's been now, however long it's been, 9 years. TV comes on in the middle of the night. My wife or I will get up and go and grab the remote and turn it off, and we say out loud, "Knock it off." And it doesn't happen every night. It happens a couple times a year.
Mm-hmm.
But high strangeness happens. It sure does.
Can I ask you, how did you end up finding your wallet? I mean, on top of the water heater, my wallet would stay lost forever. Right? I would never find it. How did you find it?
Yeah, well, our hot water heater is in a like a little alcove in the garage.
Right.
And I said I was going to look everywhere, and I did look everywhere. And fortunately, I looked there. And there it was. There's no way that I put that there.
No. Ours is in the same, in the garage in an alcove. It's up on a shelf and this custom thing. And I never go back there. We replaced the water heater 5 years ago. I haven't touched it since. Right? I would have no reason to go there and look for my wallet. It would have stayed there forever. How do you think the wallet got there? And I don't want to suggest something, but did somebody or something put it there? Was it a visitor in the night? How do you think it got there?
Jimmy, I can only make an assumption here. I know my wife didn't put it there. Our kids don't live with us. They're grown. They have their own houses, their own places. And I think it was put there by non-human entities.
Right.
That's what I believe.
And
I can't prove it.
Right.
That's what
So you're being visited.
Absolutely.
How many incidents have you had like this?
In the second book, The Reckoning, I describe an incident that I had on April 16th of 2019. And I can run through that real quick because it's a great story and it's got great documentation. In the red book, in The Reckoning, I've got the actual photographs of my iPhone and my medical bills to document this. I woke up at 5:55 a.m. on April 16th, 2019. I woke up out of breath and I felt like I'd run 100 yards. I mean, I didn't have any chest pain, but I had this terrible thirst for oxygen. And I sat up in bed and I told my wife, I think I'm having because I've had a couple of heart attacks. I said, I think I may be having some kind of cardiac event. Call 911. And she did. And they came and they got me. They took me to the hospital. And, I was tachycardic. My pulse was through the roof. My blood pressure was like 210 over 160 or some crazy stuff. But I get to the hospital and everything calms down. And I mean, I've been to the hospital with heart pain, more than once, so I know the rundown. It's me EKG, cardiac enzymes, and a chest X-ray. They do all three. They all come back negative. And later that afternoon, the doc says, your EKG looks unchanged from last time. We're going to cut you loose. I said, great, good. I felt fine. I went home. Now, I sleep with this iPhone 6. I know it's outdated, but I sleep with it in a T-shirt pocket because I listen to meditative apps at night. Now, I've been doing this since I did it with a Walkman. I used to wear the little headphones to get to sleep because I need to have the house sounds masked by something. So I sleep with this iPhone in my pocket. It's shielded so the EMF doesn't get to my heart. And, I put my earbuds in at night and I woke up that morning. My earbuds were on my chest. They weren't in my ears, but that was the least of my concern. My concern was oxygen. So later that night, I got home, we had dinner, I went out to do my usual walk. I pulled out my health app. I want to see how many steps I walked for the day because I got a minimum. I'd walk like 600 steps or something because I spent the whole day at the hospital. But then I looked down and it showed that I'd climbed 6 flights of stairs. And I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't climbed a single stair today. I live in a 1-story ranch house with 1 step. It's called my threshold.
Right. And you posted, I'm going to just jump ahead as I pull this up. You posted a picture of this today. Terry.
Yes.
You posted a picture. Okay. I'm going to pull it up. Yeah. Yes, and I'm going to pull that up. Okay, so continue. You're looking at your iPhone, 6 flights of stairs.
Yeah, 6 flights of stairs. But what was interesting was there's only 1 bar. There's 1 red bar on the XY axis where, the passage of time is from left to right. And then, height, of course, is on the vertical axis. And it showed in 10-foot increments, because stairs are a standard 10-foot. In 10-foot increments, I went from 0 stairs to completing 6 flights, or 60 feet, between 5:23 and 5:24 a.m. Now, I could never climb 6 flights of stairs in under a minute. Normally when I climb stairs, the readout that I still get on my health app shows like a stair step type thing, because it, you climb 1 flight of stairs and then time is moving by on that x-axis. And then the next step, when I reach the 2nd floor, then there'll be a red line will go up to the 2nd floor and then to the 3rd and then to the 4th. But this had no stair step type readout. This had 1 single bar showing that I had made the trip 60 feet up between 5:23 and 5:24 a.m. I had the phone checked by T-Mobile and by an engineer at Apple. Nothing wrong with the app, nothing wrong with the phone. The engineer at Apple, I said, well, what does this mean? She said, it means your phone was 60 feet above your house between 5:23 and 5:24 a.m. on April 16, 2019.
I just posted the picture here for everybody, and you have to see it. And it's right there, April 16th, 2019. And there's the steps, there's the walking, but there's the flights climbed. 6 floors, and at 4:60, I can't read. I don't have my glasses on, Terry, but it's between 4 and 5 a.m.
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, I'm going to play attorney. To the best of your knowledge, your house is how many stories tall?
Counsel, that would be a single story. And I woke up at 5:55 a.m. This event happened at between 5:23 and 5:24, according to Apple. So at 5:23, 5:24, as far as I knew, I was asleep beside my wife in bed.
Aha, Judge, I arrest my case. The defense rests, Your Honor. This is incredible. Did you jump? I just want to know. Did you jump online and see if anybody else had issues with iPhones and stuff like this? Were you able to find or chase this down where this?
I did.
Yeah.
I did actually. And you know what I found was I didn't find iPhones, because most people don't sleep with an iPhone like I do. But Fitbits, lots of people with Fitbits have had these crazy readings where, they found that they, were same thing I found, 6 flights of stairs, 60 feet over their house at 2 a.m. in the morning. So, the phenomenon is out there.
Now, okay. Now let's go there. What do you think this indicates?
Well, we know for certain one thing, and that is that my phone was 60 feet over my location at between 5:23 and 5:24 a.m. That's a certainty. This height is measured not by GPS, but measured by change in barometric pressure. And believe it or not, it's very accurate. Down.
Could have.
Sure. And I'm like, yeah, I can't dispute that. I wouldn't know how to use a drone if I had to. But why would I do that and then incur $800 worth of medical bills? If it were, it's not a hoax. If it was a hoax, it was an expensive one. Jeez.
So it's in your pocket. You're 6. What do you think you were doing up there?
I think that they took me.
Yeah.
I know that's just a vague answer, but I think they took me.
Well, how's your wife with this today?
You know, we've been together. We've been married 47 years, together 2 years before that. So she knows that strange things happen, and, we'll be outside sometime and I'll see something weird in the sky. I'll say, look at that, and she's like, I can't see anything. She can't see them. It's crazy. If I take a picture of them, she can see them. She's been nothing but supportive. She's only had one weird event in her entire marriage to me. And that was in 1987 when I had that 2 hours of missing time from a motorcycle ride. That night, she swears that she woke up in the middle of the night, put her arm over to where I was supposed to be, and found out I wasn't in bed. And she said silhouetted against the window at the foot of the bed was what she perceived to be a petite Asian woman. And this woman she saw in silhouette, and this woman spoke to her telepathically and said, everything is fine, go back to sleep. And that's what she did. And she didn't get to tell me about this until late the following day. But she was like, I'm sure this wasn't a dream. I said, well, I'm pretty sure too.
No, and it's so cool when that happens because now you have ammunition, right? You can say, it's not just me, honey, right? You went through this too now. And Rita and I am so happy that we have not it hasn't happened a whole lot, but we've had a few things that we've gone through to just like say this is my thing. Now it's our thing. And that's my ammunition. And I'm happy that she has gone through a couple of things, just like your wife. You were not there when that was her own event. That was her own situation. And Rita, one specific time, she saw something and I didn't see it, and we were together. And so it's not just me. Does that make sense? And
that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I get a lot of comfort in that.
I do too. It's validation. I know I'm not losing my mind, and we're both lucky to have good women that are supportive of us and understanding, because not everybody is so much.
No, not at all. And we're going to talk about this after the break. And it's getting out there with other experiencers and sharing and listening and supporting each other. And you've been doing a lot of that too, right?
Yes. And I think that opens the doorway. I think the more we talk about this stuff, the more we bring it up, it opens the doorway because it ramped up the activity in my life. So.
Yeah, and one of our friends that we have between us is Lucinda. And she just posted a picture of you and James together, and it's a great picture of the three of you. And she is a perfect example of yourself and others, where until very recently, and I've known Lucinda for a while, she's been opening up about these things that have been happening to her and that she's been going through. Some of them with you, actually, where you would never guess, because she's just a professional mom, right? She's got her family, she's got her things, she's got her life, and she's dealing with, and she thinks it's pretty cool, but she's going through these things, and you guys are able, because you guys are professionals.
She's a deeply insightful individual. She really is. I give her all the credit in the world. And, she's been very supportive of me, and I'm very grateful for that. And she has some amazing gifts of her own. And she's a super mom.
You've seen, I want to talk about this when we get back. Have you seen the TV series People of Earth?
I have not. I haven't had cable TV in 15 years.
Okay. The TV series People of Earth is a comedy. Okay. I think it's 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 2 seasons. It's no longer on. Go check it out. But it is a series. It's comedy.
Yeah.
About Yvonne Smith.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, well, not about Yvonne Smith, but about Yvonne Smith. It's an experiencer group that gets together and talks about their stuff and what they have been going through. And what I found interesting about that is the support that you get from an experiencer group and everybody's not only, and contact, but it allows you to open up and get that validation that you need.
That's absolutely right. I mean, that kind of support is just invaluable. And I don't know what people did 50 years ago when it wasn't available. I think maybe they lost their minds. Maybe they drank. I don't know. I don't know what people used to do. But, I thank God for Opus and people like Yvonne Smith and Kathleen Martin. And there really is a support out there. If you've had an experience and it's causing you discomfort, jump in, and there are lots of people out there. It's a good community of people.
It's funny that you said that. I'll give everybody a sneak peek for what we're doing next week here on Fade to Black. We have Yvonne Smith, we have Kathleen Martin, and we have Lucinda. 3 nights in a row. How crazy is that? That we just mentioned all 3, and it's just there are no coincidences, are there? But this is just a natural conversation, and all 3 names were just mentioned. That's weird, and that's why I do this show. Terry, let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest, Terry Lovelace. When we come back, we're going to dive deeper into the new book, Devil's Den, The Reckoning. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Terry Lovelace. We'll get to Terry in just a second. Right now, I want to talk to you about Virtual Shield VPN. It's the only VPN I use. All of these computers in both studios, everything is Virtual Shield. It's the only VPN I'll ever use because they have a strict no-log policy built into their software from the ground up for privacy. Okay, Virtual Shield routes your internet through advanced encrypted computers and servers across the globe to prevent your internet service provider from spying on you. It's very simple. Go to virtualshield.com/fade to black. That's all you've got to do. You do that, and you will get Virtual Shield for 50% off today. You can also, if you don't want to type into your browser, and I understand that, and in the future, once you get Virtual Shield VPN, typing into your browser is no big deal. But you can also click on the video link in the description box below, and you will get Virtual Shield VPN for 50% off today. Our guest is Terry Lovelace, and Terry, the book, The Reckoning, which is out now. Why the decision to write the book?
Because there were a lot of unanswered questions, answers that I didn't have at the time. And there was, I had an editor. I had a couple of chapters that I wrote for the book that he suggested that I leave out because they concerned things that happened to me as a kid, my early childhood. And he's like, man, you got those bases covered, with the Monkey Men story and all that. I don't think you need all this other stuff. I wanted to tell people about that. So I did. I included those in the book. And I promised the readers an incident at Devil's Den. In the introduction, I talk about strange disappearances and stuff that happened, spooky stuff that happened in Devil's Den State Park. I wrote the book in 2017. And while I was writing the book, in August of 2017, a young man, 32-year-old young man from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, is at Devil's Den State Park with a buddy of his, and they're walking the trail, the Butterfield Trail, named after the first intercontinental stagecoach line. And Rodney Letterman is an asthmatic, and he's walking with his buddy, and they're going down this trail. And the trail's beautiful. It's very easy walk, so I hear. I've never been back. But he had an asthma attack, and he asked his friend, he said, you know what, I left my inhaler back in the car. Would you mind? And he says, no, there's no sweat. I'll run back and get it for you. So his friend runs back it was a truck actually, runs back to the truck, grabs his inhaler, and runs back and is gone maybe 30 minutes. He gets back, and, there's no Rodney Letterman. He's gone. But his cell phone is laying on the ground. I don't know about you, but my cell phone's either in my pocket or in my hand. I wouldn't lay it on the ground, much less walk away from it.
Never.
And this was a Saturday afternoon, and there were people on the trail. So he calls the park rangers because he knows when he's having this disaster, the terrain off of the trail is rough. Lots of rocks and trees and roots and things. And the rangers responded right away. The park rangers were like all over this. And they instigated an immediate search for the guy and couldn't find him. And then they pulled in park rangers from the federal side, the National Forest, Ozark National Park on the east side. And then they got volunteers, and they got, from the National Guard, the helicopters with the forward-looking infrared radar and all the sophisticated electronics to find this guy. Well, I published the book in March of 2018. He went missing in August of 2017. And when I published the book, he hadn't been found. But I promised the readers that I'd update them if I got any news. Well, there was some news from March of 2019. Young couple is walking down the path, and the young lady says to her friend, "Is that an albino turtle?" And her friend kind of shakes his head and says, "What are you talking about?" And she's pointing, and they walk over, and here is this kind of football-shaped, curved object, brilliant white, sitting atop a log. And this log is placed right along the trail. And this thing is like, it's like it was set there. And he goes over and he picks it up, and it's the very top of Rodney Letterman's skull, bleached white by the sun.
Wow.
Sent to the Bartlesville, Oklahoma medical examiner, who determined through DNA evidence that it did belong to Rodney Letterman. And that's all they ever found of the guy. Not a stitch of clothing, not anything. But what interests me is how did it get on top of this log?
Yeah, they're doing a search. They've got everybody out there, and they don't find that. That's strange for so many. I mean, how many people are walking up and down the trail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, continue. That's mind blowing.
It is mind blowing, and like I say, it's the, thinking back from law enforcement days. I mean, that's like a staged crime scene almost. Somebody had to place somebody or something had to place that there, where it'd be in plain sight for 500 people to walk by and see every day.
Right.
So that's the mystery.
And continuing with the book, Why Now, and the updates. How do I say this? Because of the original book in Devil's Den and how that was laid out, to go to a part 2, and now you're going to share with everybody these continued experiences. Was it just yours? Were you pulling in other experiences from others around you?
I put an email address in the back of Incident at Devil's Den, and I said, look, I'm not a doctor or a therapist or anything, but if you've had an experience and you've not shared it with anyone, or you're afraid to share it with anyone, you can share it with me in confidence. Lawyers know how to keep secrets, and I won't, unless I have your written permission, I won't tell your story. And I got 1,600 emails since 2018. 1,600. And I got a core group of those, about 400 stories, that are just absolutely incredible. And there's this thread of commonality that runs through all of them. They all start off with a disclaimer. They all start off with this first paragraph where they say, now, please don't think I'm drinking or I'm crazy. Please don't think, I'm on medication or, smoking marijuana or whatever. I promise I'm stone cold sober. So they give this disclaimer, and then they tell me these amazing stories, just the most incredible stories. And I took 50 of them, 50 of these stories, 50 of the best, and I reached out to the people and spoke with them, and I eliminated about 20 or so. So I've got 30 of these stories in the back of the book, and I'd love to share a couple.
Hey, we're going to go right there, and you can tell that I'm leading these questions because I know what was going on. And this is the thing. You go from a professional in law to now a professional UFO researcher. How do you approach this? Is it the methodical, pragmatic way of going through case law? Is that something that you were able to apply to each one of these?
I think I did, maybe even subconsciously. But I got so many emails, I would make a pot of coffee every morning. I get up at 5:30 a.m. and I come in and I answer each and every one. I don't think I've missed a one. It's just, it's humbling to have these people email you and say, now, I've never shared this with another human being, but, and then, and they're looking what everybody's looking for. They're looking for validation, and, I never pictured myself a researcher, but, I went about this a very methodical way. And when I saw that throughout these stories, there's a thread of commonality that runs through all of them. And because I got letters from people from the NDE community, from the Bigfoot community, from all different types of paranormal experiences. And, there really is a common thread through all this stuff.
And what is it?
I never noticed that.
Yeah, what is it?
I wish I knew, but, when I say common thread, I did this. I laid these things out on an Excel spreadsheet. And I discovered that, I'll give you a couple for instances. People that tell me that they've had an amazing, vivid dream from age 4 or 5. Now, and I converse with them. I talk to them either, through emails, telephone. And I said, that's interesting. Tell me about your dream. And they tell me this very detailed dream in vivid color. And they describe everything. And, they can be 70 years old and it's like it happened yesterday. And I said, well, tell me this. That happened when you were age 4. What'd you get for Christmas that year? Where'd your family go on vacation? How was your birthday party? And that's all gone.
Don't remember. Yeah.
But this stupid little dream has stuck with them. Those are the people that tend to have experiences.
Do you know how many shows I've done where that's exactly where I'll go, okay, so your first sighting was when you were 16, when you were 18. Well, it actually didn't start there, Jimmy. I was 4, right? It goes right there. It's fascinating to me, fascinating. Well, I'm very interested in, okay, so you've got a top 50, you've extrapolated that, and this is the other thing. As a lawyer, it is your job to connect the dots. That's your gig, right? You've got the evidence, you've got the thing, you got the case, you have paperwork, right? It's your job to connect the dots. You've got to be able to do that, or you don't have a case, right? That's
right.
That's it. And now here you are connecting the dots. And so you've got your top 50. Now you've got your top 30 or whatever. But this has got to be really good stuff here in front of you. And for you to say, I've got a couple that I want to share, you've got my attention. So let's start with experiencer number 1.
Okay, sure. Experiencer number 1 is a lady named Olivia from Henderson, Nevada, who told me about, she's 76 years old. Now, I don't know many 76-year-old women that make up fairy tales. But this woman is cognitively intact. She is sharp as she can be. She has a fine arts degree. And in 1968, she was married to her husband, who was a nephrologist at a Las Vegas hospital. And he worked, like most doctors, 70 hours a week. But he got a 4-day weekend a month is the deal that he had worked out. So once a month, they would take the drive from Las Vegas to Reno. What is that? I'm going from memory, 240 miles or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
3.5, 4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. She said about a 4-hour drive. And they used to stop at this little town called Tonopah, which is still there. As a matter of fact, my friend, Dr. Schwartz, just drove through there and had dinner there. And it's now called the Station, but it used to be called, they verified it used to be called the Stagecoach.
Okay.
So in 1968, they're on their way. He got tied up late at the hospital. They usually drive it during the day, but to avoid traffic. But he got stuck at the hospital till late. So it's after dark by the time they get to Tonopah. And they go and they have a nice meal, and they didn't have anything to drink, no alcohol. Neither one of them wore eyeglasses, I ask. And they filled up their tank of gas, and pulled out and headed toward Reno. And they're about 10 miles out of town, and they saw this glow on the horizon on the right. And they crested the top of a hill, and there was this box store, about the size of like a breakfast restaurant kind of place. And it has this in neon lights, it says Christmas, spells out Christmas on top of the thing. And it's lit up inside like crazy. And she says, "Oh, Paul, pull over. I want to see this." So he pulls off the road and is directly in front of this store. And there's light pouring out of all the windows. She said there were like all kinds of Christmas tree lights, flashing, some not flashing, various colors, wrapped all around the structure. Now, she remembers it as being a brick building, but her husband remembered it as being made out of like rustic barnwood. But other than that, I know that's a pretty big discrepancy. Mm-hmm. Other than that, they're in agreement on everything. So she says Paul pulled over and put the car in park, and they're both staring at this thing. And she says they kind of zoned out. And Paul kind of shakes his head, and says, this is silly. And she says, well, pull in. Let's see what the place is all about. It looks like they're open. And he says, yeah, where do you want me to pull into? There is no parking lot. And sure enough, there was nothing in front of the store but sagebrush and sand. No cars, no road, no paved driveway, no nothing. Just this store that you can't get to. And Paul said, well, this is ridiculous, And they pulled back on the highway, and they proceeded to Reno. Now, this is valuable time to them. When you're married to a physician, getting time with them alone to have a conversation is a once a month affair. And she never slept on this trip. She always engaged in conversation. They always had their debriefing. And she said as soon as they pulled back on the road, she fell asleep. And she never sleeps in a car, she claimed. And she was sound asleep until her husband put his hand on her knee when they got to the Reno city limits and woke her up. They got to the hotel, and she doesn't remember what time it was, unfortunately, because I'd love to know if they were an hour late or what, but she was no way of knowing. And I asked her, I said, do you think you had missing time? And she's like, I don't know. How would I know? If time's missing, how do I know? And I said, well, if you don't have a clock or a watch to compare it to, I guess you wouldn't. So they went to bed. They slept late the next morning. Their friends woke them up. They felt kind of out of sorts for about 24 hours. And on the way back, they had their 4-day weekend. They had fun after that. Then they're driving back, and they hadn't even talked about this stupid Christmas store. And she said that her husband brought it up, and he said, you know what, let's stop by that stupid store and see. There has to be a driveway for that place. How could they build it otherwise? And she's like, yeah, that's been on my mind too. Let's do that. So they get about 12 miles north of Tonopah, and they're looking for the place. And of course, it's not there, right?
It's not there.
It's just not there. Yeah. There is no Christmas store. Never has been a Christmas store.
Was Rod Serling at least standing on the side of the road?
Smoking a cigarette. Yes.
Yeah, right. That is crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, and not the first time I've heard a story like this, number one. Number two, I've got my own. I had the same thing happen to me. And I'm not going to get into those details. But what does she think went on?
We ended up having a really nice telephone conversation because she isn't real comfortable with email. She'd rather speak. And I said I would rather we do that too. So, because I kind of wanted to assess where she's at mentally. Not that I'm, a doctor or anything, but I mean, you can tell if someone's sharp or if they're not, and kind of gauge their veracity. And this woman struck me as just a credible person, not somebody that would make this thing up. And she said, I'm 76 years old. I still have nightmares. What nightmares do you have? And she said that when they could see the lights coming out of the windows of this place, and they could see movement in back of the lights, like shadows. And they assumed that it was like workmen in there doing something.
Sure.
Her nightmare, it doesn't sound scary at all, but her nightmare involves reliving and seeing those shadows. And she says when she sees those shadows in her dreams, she just flips out.
Now, this is what is, encryption to have, the Merry Christmas. It's lit up. It's an invitation to pull up, and here we are, but there's no parking lot. That just doesn't make any sense. And That's just strange from the word go, right? For them to go up to Reno and then come back, and that they want to go and see this strange store again. Of course you do. Let's try to go and figure this out. And do you know, Terry, that they looked at every single building on the freeway? Right?
Every single one.
Every single one.
They went to the Stagecoach and had lunch, right? Well, the guy that ran the Stagecoach at the time was either was the president of the Chamber of Commerce or worked for the Chamber of Commerce. And they asked him, she said, I asked him, when did you guys get a Christmas store? About 10 miles north of town. And he's like, Christmas store? What are you talking about? The florist is the latest business we've had here. And he says, there's nothing 10 miles north of town. And if there was, I'd know about it. So.
Did she think it was a time slip, a parallel world that they drove through just for a second? What did she think?
I asked her candidly. I said, look, I'm not, you might have to make an assumption here. I know you may not know, but do you think what you were looking at could have been a spaceship? And she laughs, and then she says, yeah, I think it could have been a spaceship.
Man, that's a great story. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. Experience number 2.
Okay, I'm going to jump ahead to this guy named Byron, because this guy out of South Africa bought my book and sent me an email, and in half English, half Afrikaans, and enough I could understand him, and we could understand one another. His name is Byron, and Byron told me that he lives in a outside of Johannesburg, some ways, in a rural community, a farming community. And his dad had a machinery and auto repair business that he inherited. So he's a mechanic. He fixes anything mechanical. So one day he gets a call from his friend Duncan, who is a farmer, and gets a call, and he says, I just lost a belt. My belt broke on my tractor. And Byron says, hey, no sweat. I can fix you up. So Byron, quote, knew the machine, his words, grabbed the part, hopped in his Range Rover and drove over there and found Duncan exactly where he said he would be, at the end of his property, by the property line that separates Duncan's from his adjoining neighbor. And he gets there, and he said that his words, Duncan was in a state. And he tried to calm his friend down and said, look, it's a busted belt, no sweat. I'll have you fixed and out of here in 10 minutes. And his friend says, no, it's not that. It's not that. He says, over here, you got to see. And he drags this guy over. And evidently, for some reason, they both were wearing sidearms. And Duncan pulled out his sidearm, and that really scared Byron, because he's like, what's with the gun?
Right.
He thought, there must be something threatening on the opposite side. So they climb through this hedgerow, little row of trees, and they look. And he says there are 4 of these bullet-shaped objects about 6 feet off the ground. Each one is about the size of a full-size van, and they're bullet-shaped and like polished steel or aluminum, and they're spinning. They're spinning like at 200 miles an hour or something insane.
Right.
And there are 4 of them in like a diamond formation over this field. And he looks at his friend and he says, where did these come from? And he said, I don't know. I was messing with the belt, and I heard a whoosh, and I looked up and I saw them fly over my head, and they sat down over here. And, he had his gun out. He was scared to death. And Byron's like, look, there's no such thing as UFOs. This is something from China. This is something from the Soviet Union, or from Russia, rather. I think this happened in 2014, yeah. And he says, I'll prove it to you. He said, I'm going to walk over there and ask them what they're doing. So, his friend says, Duncan says, well, I got my gun out. I'll cover you. And he's like, no, put that away. You'll shoot me you'll shoot me. Put the gun away. And he walks up to this thing that's spinning, the one that's closest to him. And he said that he yelled, this must be Afrikaans. The word he used was H-E-I-T-A. Hayata. Must be Afrikaans greeting of some kind. We never had the opportunity to talk by phone, just by email. And he said when he hailed this thing, that it slowed down, came to a stop, and lowered from 6 feet down to about 2 feet off the ground. And a arch-shaped opening, as soon as it stopped, this opening, like a camera lens or the iris of a pupil, just expanded. This arch-shaped doorway opened, and there was a man that he said, his words now, he said he appeared to be of the Mongoloid race, and he wore a silver suit, including gloves and footwear. And he said he had no hair and barely just a little bit of ears and just a bump for a nose. And interesting, he said that he spoke to me via thought transference. Now, I mean, I've heard telepathy, but thought transference, I guess there's, I'd never heard that before. But the guy said that we're sorry, the space guy said, we're sorry for the intrusion. We're making some repairs and we'll be on our way soon. And I love this line. Byron says, well, look, I'm pretty good with machinery. You need a hand? And
they said, we got this.
Yeah. We got it. So, he said talking telepathically to this guy seemed natural. It didn't seem weird. And he asked the guy where they come from, and he said they come from a star near Orion.
Wow. So I'm picturing, before we get to the break, the size of a van. I like that. Silver, but like the end of a bullet, right? So it's domed at the top and flat at the bottom, and they're upright and spinning.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Wow. That's
and they left crop circle-like things in the weeds. This was, it wasn't planted. It was just an open field with grass about knee high, he said. And all of that swirled into little miniature crop circles. Now the spot where he went up and talked to the space guy, that one descended to 2 feet above the ground.
Right.
That spot, according to the neighbor, nothing would ever grow there for 2 seasons. So the
idea of this, where they're just doing repairs. So how long were they there? Did they see the repairs getting done? And they just took off.
Yeah, he said that they were there. They watched them for about 10 minutes.
Wow.
Oh, I forgot to add that this guy, the space guy, said, we're here to observe. We're not here to harm or to help. And I thought that was very significant. And he asked if he could come in to see, he wanted to see the inside of the thing. And the space guy held up his hand and said, your friend is not doing well. I'm afraid if he sees you come in here, he'll fear that we've captured you or something. You should go back and take care of your friend.
So he never got he didn't get a look-see. He didn't get to peek.
He didn't get a look-see. Nope. He held up his hand, and the space guy held up his hand, and the door closed. The thing started spinning again. And a short while later, all 4 of these things lifted up. I forget how many, he told me in kilometers. I don't know. What do I know about kilometers? They lifted so many meters off the ground, not kilometers, meters off the ground. And then took off in formation, like 0 to 500 miles an hour, all 4 of them, in diamond formation, just whoosh.
You know
over the
what?
track.
I need to write a book and put my email in the back. I want some of this action, Terry. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Terry Lovelace. The new book is The Reckoning, and we've got everything up at jimmychurchradio.com. You can go to terrylovelace.com, and all of your info is there. More with Terry when we come back after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on jimmychurchradio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Terry Lovelace. And Terry, I'm torn here. I'm torn. I don't know if I want some more campfire Terry Lovelace stories because I could sit there and listen to this all night, or if I change the direction in the conversation, and we've only got one segment left. So, okay, this is what we're going to change directions, but I want you to put in the back of your mind, I've got one more, Jimmy, that I want to share with you.
It's there.
Come back. Everybody should see Terry's face. I got it, man. I got the one. I want to talk about disclosure because it's a word that is commonly used today, certainly within the UFO community. But before you got here, did you even hear that word before? Is it something that you ever considered?
I never considered that before I got involved in the UFO community and the UFO culture. I never thought, the thought never crossed my mind that the United States government would be, I knew the United States government was involved because of my experience in 1977. But the thought that they would come out and make a public admission that these things are real, I just did not see that happening. But I think times have changed. I think if I had published Incident at Devil's Den 3 years earlier, it wouldn't have been anywhere nearly as well received.
Yeah,
I think times are changing.
You're probably right there. Yeah. And are you surprised to see things moving in the direction that they are right now as quickly as it is? And I'm not sure if that I'm just emotionally invested in this and I see things happening, or maybe it's not. I'm not so sure. But are you surprised to see this moving along as quickly as it appears to be?
I am, and I'm more than surprised. I'm really taken aback that things have taken the turn that they've taken. There's a couple of things that make disclosures seem real and seem imminent to me, and that is the Harvard professor Avi Loeb, who just wrote the book about Oumuamua, and how he thought that it was not, from its trajectory, he thought that it was not a naturally occurring object floating from outer space into, our little solar system, and the acceleration that it had was not natural. And he believes, and says in his new book, he believes that it is an intelligent vehicle from another solar system.
Yeah, I had him on the show. I had him on the show last week, and I've read the book now a few times. It's for me, the timing is both exciting and suspect. And what I mean by that is everything is happening all at the same time, and for somebody like Avi to write this book and to face the criticism in the professional community around him, I find it strange. It's almost part of a package that the public is being handed right now.
Well, that's a very good point, and I can bolster that point too, because on December 8th of 2020, there was a news story from the Jerusalem Post that said that Dr. Haim Eshed, who's a well-respected scientist in his own right, he ran Israel's space protection program for 30 years. He was a general, decorated multiple times, who then turned to university professor. And I have friends in Tel Aviv, and they tell me that this guy he's like the Buzz Aldrin of Israel. He's just super well-respected guy, not a flake, not a kook, just well-grounded guy. And he came out and he said that the United States and Israel have been in contact and have a treaty with the Galactic Federation, which sounds kind of Star Trek-y to me, but I don't know. But that's what he described it as, a Galactic Federation. And he said that the Galactic Federation stopped disclosure, that President Trump had planned to make a disclosure, and that E.T., quote, dissuaded him from doing that. And the reasoning that he gave in the article, and it was carried by the Post, by the press here in this country too, but the original story in the Jerusalem Press said that the people couldn't cope, that they couldn't cope with the truth, and they can't deal with this issue. And there's 5 words in here that stymie me. Until the public can understand the nature of space and spaceships. Now that you talk about suspect. I here this guy is, decorated and supposedly a really upright guy. It just doesn't ring right to me. We have to understand the nature of space and spaceships before there can be disclosure. What do they think? There's going to be riots in Tokyo and London or something if they I don't think so. I think people are ready for this. I think 60% of the people believe in it, and the other 40% at best doubt it. So, I don't know. You're right. It's a suspect time. And then there's the whole thing, like Jim Lowe explained, where they have the and of course we can't see what the classified portion of the bill, which we'd all love to, but something's going on there.
Yeah, Marco Rubio's statements that he made yesterday, that's a pretty crazy video for him. It looks like he's in an airport, and he's been stopped by TMZ. And the TMZ guy's like, hey, UFOs, aliens, man, are they coming? What's up with this report? And he goes straight at Marco. And Marco's responses were, now, although he avoided, TMZ kept pushing the UFO alien part, are they bad? Are they good? Are they arriving? What's going on? And Marco said a few times, I don't want to go there. I'm not going to go there. But we've got stuff that we don't know what is going on, and we need to find out what is in our airspace. Don't know what it is. I'm not going aliens, but we don't know what it is. And now that coupled with, everything else that is going on all at the same time. It's Avi, it's science, it's astrophysics, it's physics, it's exoplanets, fast radio burst, perseverance on Mars looking for alien life. All of this stuff is happening at the same time. It's like all aliens, right? All aliens.
I never thought I'd live long enough to see disclosure, but I think we're going to see something. I don't know if it'll be disclosure. The disclosure might be a grassroots movement, people like me and you and Lucinda and James Lowe and Yvonne Smith and all the people that are in my book, and all of us together collectively maybe we are disclosure. I don't know.
Well, and that's an interesting point. What is your definition? What's your definition of disclosure?
Disclosure. I want to see the government involved.
Right.
I really want to see our government say, yes, ET's here, he's real, and and if that's all we know, tell us. That's all you know. What's going to happen? In that bill, there's a 180-day waiting period between where they have so long to disclose. I think that the time runs out in June or something. What's going to be different in June that's different from today? I mean, I know we had to go through a change of administration and a shuffling of positions and all, but still the work of government goes on. So that delay to me is suspect, that 180-day delay.
Well, there's been a couple of comments, and certainly we had a Defense Intelligence Agency guy that was just on Fox. And there are these strange comments that are starting to surface where I think that some have seen the report. They've seen some preliminary stuff, but because they're talking about the contents of this now. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm hoping that there's something tangible, right? That we're not, you know what I mean, kicking the can down the road, once again, that hopefully we're going to get to some type of realization, because your point is one of the most valid ones. Every time that I ask somebody about their definition of disclosure, Terry, they will, I don't need disclosure. But disclosure's already here. And, I've seen, what? That argument, that statement doesn't hold water. The rest of the community, that's not disclosure to them. Disclosure to them is the government coming out saying, hey, all right, it's real. We've made contact. That's all that they want to hear. They just want that so they can back up and go, okay, finally, and that's what everybody else is acceptable to them, just as you've stated it right there.
That December 17th,
2017.
You know what I'm talking about. The New York Times article by Leslie Kane and I think Jim Blumenthal.
Ralph Blumenthal.
Ralph, thank you. Ralph Blumenthal. I mean, when they had the TTSA stuff and the disclosure from Lou Elizondo, and that was a pretty significant event that just kind of went unnoticed by everybody. But if you read that article by Leslie Kane, and it's pretty revealing. That comes about as close as you can get, And then there's the gimbal event. I had a guy write to me who read my book, and he was an intelligence officer aboard the USS Roosevelt during the gimbal event.
He was with us at dinner 2 weeks ago. You're talking about Matt?
That's right. I am. I'm talking about Matt. Yes.
He was on the show with us on Monday.
Yes, I was going to say he was just on your show. What am I thinking? Yes, of course. He's. But just going back to the story he told me, he said, "I can't tell you. I can't tell you. The DNI won't let me tell you." But I respect him. He's got a lot of integrity.
It was a heck of a show, and it got very emotional 3 or 4 times in the show. And we have a strange conundrum with Matt, and this is what it is. You have somebody that has spent 16 years in the Navy, intelligence officer, top secret clearance. He's a cryptographer. 16 years, right? He's a man's man. Right, strong. It's 16 years, man. That's a career. And then, and here's the conundrum. Now, somebody that is used to dealing with his emotions, and in the military, as you know, you don't get emotional. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. And
no place for
it. There's no place for it. And here he is today dealing with this stuff emotionally, where and he's brought to tears, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like a conundrum. You have a career naval officer. You have that situation where today he's not able to control, his emotional thoughts about this. It's very strange to see somebody go through that. It's
I've been there.
Yes.
I've been there. I mean, when you have an event, if it's on the level of intimacy as mine was, you're a changed person. You're changed forever. I left that state park a different person than I was when I arrived. When I arrived, I was, a teenager, and I left there an adult. And, Matthew, unfortunately, I could come out and tell people. I had to wait till I retired, but I can come out and I can tell people now, and I can tell what happened to me and that it's real and that this stuff exists. And he had to turn over his manuscript because he talked to me originally about writing a book, and he had to turn it over to DNI for them to vet it, just like they did John Bolton's book before they would publish it, allow it to be published. And, all the cool stuff came back redacted, and he can't share it. He's under an NDA. So, and he says, I'm so disappointed. He says, I can't work with these guys anymore. Knowing what I know, I can't work with these people anymore. And that's a heck of a decision to make, to throw away retirement for 4 years. But I admire the man for his integrity. I really do.
Well, and it was one of my questions to him that I have with anybody from the military or an agency, which is when you find out things and you have your personal experiences, nobody can take that from you. But then you hit the realization that the government has known all along. They know things. They know the real things, and they're not talking to the public about it, and they're not going to let you talk about it. You can't find out information, and that's a paradigm shift. That's a world-changing, life-changing event for somebody to go through, and he's going through it. And anybody like him and like yourself, the government knows what they know. If you went through the experience, so have they, right? That's it.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't get any more clearer to me than that. I want to get to your last story, and I know it's late where you are, but I've seen what I've seen. And I've got one specific sighting that I've had. They've all been great, but one that was pretty crazy. And I know if I've seen that with my friends, we saw it together. Lucinda was there. I've got Lucinda's video that she shot. Well, anyway, if I saw that, then so is the Pentagon. Right? They sure. know what's going on. This isn't just my thing. The government has been on top of this for at least 70 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I don't think there's anything in the sky that they can't track, that they can't know.
And I remember 29 Palms. 29 Palms, one of the biggest, maybe the biggest marine installation in the world, right? That's it. It all goes on there. Ground, flight, everything is happening at 29 Palms. We know this. We're 19 miles away, and we're watching, Terry, this Steven Spielberg thing going on, and I'm thinking to myself, where are the helicopters? Where are the planes? You can see, they know what's going on above us. Why aren't they responding? Why aren't they doing anything? Well, probably because they can't do anything, number one. Number two, this is just another night in Joshua Tree. This is just another night to them. What, are they responding to every single thing that happens all the time? Probably not. And I thought about that. Where's the military right now as we're watching this go down? Got the biggest, Marine base in the United States. It's right there, and they don't care. It's fascinating.
You hit the nail on the head. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they know, but they don't really know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, they're over there going, dude, they're back.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Are we going to scramble stuff? No.
Are we going to make a statement to the press and have that interpreted as an admission? No.
Again. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Okay. We've got 8 minutes left. Let's go to experience number 3.
Oh, let me tell you about it. I got a email from this. When I laid these out on a spreadsheet, what I found was the people that had these most traumatic experiences were all over age 50. And I just thought that was an odd bit of demographic. So 69-year-old woman from Oklahoma gets a hold of me, and she's a nurse anesthetist, very, very, very technical job. I mean, you got to be the best of the best to be chosen for the nurse anesthetist program, because you basically do the work of an anesthesiologist. And so she's a bright lady. And she told me about this. They went to see their grandparents, their maternal grandparents, on a farm in Oklahoma. And at this farmhouse, there was a berm, a big dirt berm. You know what I mean when I say berm?
Yeah,
it's like
a hill.
Like a hill, yeah, that made like a wall that separated the front of the farm from the back of the farm.
Sure.
And it was big enough you could drive a tractor on top of it. Now, the back of the farm was off limits. Girls couldn't go back there. But the front yard was just, flowers and garden, and they could play out there all they wanted to. And they trusted the girls. They went there every year. They were 9. Julia was 9, and her younger sister Molly was 7. And they're out chasing butterflies and having a good time, doing what little girls do. And Julia says that she heard calliope music. And, like a circus.
Mm-hmm.
And they cock their heads and they're listening, and they're like, oh boy, a circus. Well, back in the day, their circuses traveled like a circuit and went around from town to town. And, but the music, of course, was coming from the opposite side of the berm. So she says, Grandpa says we can't go on the opposite side of the berm. Julia cautions her younger sister, and her younger sister comes up with a great line. Molly would have made a great lawyer. She said, yeah, we can't go on the other side, but we could stand on top and look over. That wouldn't be, That's
in bounds. That's in bounds.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So they did. And, this is so much like Christmas Story. I kind of pair it up with that story because of the similarities here. And when there's a similarity that runs through all of them. But she and her sister, saw what they took to be like a merry-go-round, carousel, whatever name you have for it, a carnival ride with horses that go up and down and the thing spins. But she said this thing looked like the horses were alive, and it was spinning like way faster than anybody could get on or get off, and that the thing was about 4 feet off the ground because she could see that it cast a shadow underneath. And it was just to the right of the farm. That's one of the reasons they couldn't go back there, was there was this farm pond that was 12 feet deep. And they were afraid the girls would go back there and stumble in the water and not come out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So she said that she and her sister Molly laid down on the grass and held hands and watched this thing for a minute or two, and then they blacked out. Well, they didn't know wherever they went. Grandma and Mom came out to bring the girls in for lunch, and there's no girls. They can't find them. And they call neighbors. They call the grandpa calls the VFW hall. They get, people out there searching. And finally, the sheriff gets involved because these girls are missing. And 4 hours pass. And they got a guy in a john boat, two guys in a john boat with these long poles stirring up the water to see if anything floats to the top. And they're terrified these girls have drowned.
Right.
And one of the boatmen happened to look toward the shore, and he said he didn't see them. Then he looked down, then he looked up, and they were there. And he saw the two girls laying on the side of the berm in the grass, holding hands. And they were asleep. So they went over, and of course, everybody is delighted that they're happy and they're safe. And I'll move forward. Julia said that this thing changed their lives. And what happened was that she was always very, she struggled with math as a subject. It was just tough for her. She went back to school and started with fractions. And she said it was a piece of cake, no problem. She went from a solid C student to an A+ student, And she said, I don't understand. She said, I never had a grasp of mathematics, but after this event, for some reason, it makes sense to me. Numbers make sense. Now, but Molly, her 7-year-old, 2 years difference. Julia was 9, Molly was 7. Molly, on the other hand, had behavioral issues and fell into depression, then was diagnosed as being bipolar, had a string of failed relationships. And she said, it's funny that I could never talk to Molly about this topic. She would not talk about it. And I didn't want to talk about it. But really, I felt like we needed to have a conversation because of all these years that have passed. Well, Molly, 4 years ago now, was terminally ill with breast cancer. So even though they weren't close as sisters, she took a Family Medical Leave Act, took time and went to Tennessee where Molly was to spend time with her while she was in hospice. She said that they had, a nice conversation, one of the nicest they've had since adulthood. And Julia asked her, can we talk about what happened at Grandma and Grandpa's that summer? And Molly said no, and turned her head to the wall, turned her face away, died the next day, and would never discuss what happened. Because Julia's in that spot where so many people are. She's had 4 hours of missing time. She doesn't know what happened to her. And said, if you want regression, she's like, look, I work in the medical community. I could get regressed if I wanted to. But she says, I'm afraid to. And
did you? That's incredible. I want to stay on this. We're out of time. Can I keep you up?
Sure.
You don't have to go. You don't have to play golf in the morning.
No.
Yeah. No. Terry. Okay. When I heard the description of something, told me carnival. Right? They were going to see something like that, but it doesn't feel carnival-ish to me. That's what they saw. Right, but it feels flying saucer-ish to me.
Sure does.
Right. Now they're going to identify it as a merry-go-round. Right, they're 9 and 7 years old, and they think that they've heard this music. They've already, imagined what they were going to see by the time they got to the top of the berm. But a floating merry-go-round is probably not what they saw, was it?
No. This is the one and she had a placemat in front of her, and I said, "Can you draw for me what you saw?" And what she saw didn't look to me anything like a merry-go-round. It looked like a cake. It just looked like a round thing. And I said, "Well, what was up here?" And she showed, there were lights all along the rim of it. But it didn't look like a carnival ride to me. It looked like something else. But I guess, when you're 7 and 9 years old and you hear the calliope music, just like, I had these monkeys appear to me. People, they've seen, one kid saw a walking, talking raccoon in his room, glowing orbs, Disney characters. People see all kinds of stuff because I think they can show themselves to us in a way that will seem as both most benign. And for these two little girls, seeing this as a carnival ride must have been the most benign thing that they could think of. And
well, your mind's gonna work the way it's gonna work. Your brain doesn't want you to snap, right? It's gonna go into protection mode.
I think that's absolutely spot on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more than a 7 or 9 year old can process.
Absolutely. The other part about this is the regression side of it. Have you had a session or two with Yvonne?
I have not. We've talked about it. I did have a session, not with Yvonne, but my best friend is a psychiatrist. He's a board-certified psychiatrist, has a practice here in Dallas. And I met the guy, believe it or not, at a UFO meeting up in Grapevine. They asked me to come up there and speak mid-2018. And I met him, and I asked him, I said, well, what's a psychiatrist doing here? What's your interest? Have you had an experience? He says, no, but, he said when he was trained in medical school that they taught him that, people come forward and say that they've been abducted or that they saw a UFO or been aboard a craft or something. That's delusional. And that, you need to look for an underlying psychopathy or some type of behavioral issue or personality disorder. And he said he had people come forward to him and tell him these amazing stories. And then when he went through the diagnosis phase, he could find nothing wrong with these people. They were absolutely as sane and mentally sound as they could be. But they claimed to have these amazing experiences. So he thought, there's got to be something to this. And that's what started him on the path of going to MUFON meetings and talking to other experiencers. And he offered, my question to him was, I don't know if I'm ready to go back to 1977, and I kind of want to have Yvonne do that for me. But I said, what, I wouldn't mind knowing what of 2019 when my iPhone registered 60 feet above the ground. And he said, yeah, we can do that. Now, I had not been hypnotized since the OSI did it in 1977. So,
but you were okay with it. Well, you approached him, so you're okay with it. All right. I wouldn't mind. But I finally got there. I finally got in that zone. It's a weird place. And, he asked me to go back and said, I want to take you back to, it's 5 a.m. You're asleep. And where are you at? And I said, I'm with my wife. And he says, and something happens at 5:23? And I said, yeah. And I said, I went up. And he said, yeah, but there's a ceiling above your head and a roof and rafters that you'd have to go through. And I said, I popped through. I know this sounds crazy, but this is what I said under hypnosis. I popped through on the other side, outside. And I remember thinking how it was just breaking dawn. And I remember thinking how beautiful it was outside. And above me was a saucer, and it had a elliptical opening underneath that opened like a camera lens. And it sucked me up toward that. And that's when, because of my heart problems, he monitored my blood pressure and said, we'll have to finish this another time. That's
because this was an hour and a half process to get to this point.
Right.
And I can see that now in my mind's eye as a real memory, not as something planned, but as a real memory. I can see that in my mind's eye and remember it. But I want to know what happened when I was in there. I want to know what they did to me, if anything.
Man, you're such a tease, Terry. You took us right there. Were you, since you can remember this as a conscious memory, were you floating? Were you like on your back? And what position were you in?
I was on my back just like I was in bed.
Right.
My earbuds were in my pocket. Now, what's interesting is I also I have a long cord, and because the battery in the iPhone's so bad, I kept it plugged into a charger.
Right.
Which is no problem, but the charger had been pulled out of the outlet, and it's dangling underneath me.
Right. The little charger adapter thing.
Yes, correct.
That the USB plugs. Yeah. Wow.
So I remember that. I remember that it was absolutely gorgeous outside.
Do you remember what any details about the craft itself?
It was. I have a picture. I have a picture of a saucer. I think I put it in the back of the red book that I took. It's on the very last page, but you can't see it really well. It's too pixelated. It's on 372. It's the last page of the book. This was about 16, little less than 2 weeks after the event in 2019. I came home from a doctor's visit in Plano, and I had this thing following me. I could see a black smudge in the sky following my car. And I pulled into my driveway, and this was April 29, 2019. And as I pull in, right over my house is this saucer. And it's silver on top, and it glints in the sunshine, and the underneath is black. That's the thing I think that took me. And I got a picture of it. And it was, I got pictures of it from my car that are blurred because it was moving. But it stood dead still right over my house. And I got a decent picture of it. And I'm happy to have it. That's where I think I went. And I don't know what the purpose for it coming back. And I don't know. Was that their way of saying, yeah, it was us? That's all I can think.
When you and I got together with Rita and Lucinda and Matt and the rest of our friends, James was there.
Yes.
There was a lady, Barbara, who was sitting next to me at the table. As you remember, you were sitting across from me. And she, well, you know who she is. But anyway, I'm saying to the audience, she's German. I'm going to guess she's got to be 70, 75.
That's exactly what I'd say.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, 70, 75. Who looked at me deadpan in my eyeballs and told me that she has had contact since she was a little girl. And that this has been a lifelong series of contact experiences. And this is the thing for me. First off, she's German. She's got the German accent. So immediately she's telling the truth, right? there's a certain thing. But coming from her age and the way that when she says to you and she's looking at you, she says, these experiences are real. And this has been happening to me my whole life. And once my husband died and I was able to sell the house, I wanted to come to the United States and meet other experiencers and other people that I could share all of this with. And she was just right. And I'm thinking to myself, Terry, just as you were just saying right there, it doesn't get any better for me to hear somebody of her age, right, to share this with me, because it's like the best witness that you can have. It's the best testimony that you can have, isn't it?
It sure is. And I mean, you can talk to her, and she is as sharp as I am or you are.
She's incredible. Incredible
woman. And, we've communicated for years. I think the world of her. She's just such a beautiful person. And we have so many things in common that we share, and like I said before, what 70, 80-year-old woman makes up a fairy tale? It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
How strange was it that she knew my brother?
Oh,
was that crazy town? As we're
crazy.
Putting that whole thing together. Your brother's Danny? What? Holy crap! You should see the text that I got from my brother. He goes, Barbara came by to say hi today. That's all it was, right? That's all it was. But I can only imagine what went through his mind with all of this. What a small world. What a small world. Way beyond that. That is not a coincidence that she was there at that table with us that night and that she knew my brother. This is there's 375 million people in this country. And for her and I to be sitting next to each other at that moment and have that happen, that's strange stuff. And I enjoy it when it happens.
Yeah. You were keeping an appointment and you were right on time.
It was crazy. I still can't get over it. Okay, so what is next for you? What's going on?
I'm writing a third book, and it's called Go Tell the Bees. No UFOs this time.
Tell me about this. You got my attention.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if you've ever heard of the expression "Go Tell the Bees."
No, I haven't.
I got exposed to it. It originally began in England and Scotland, Ireland, and came across to when people migrated here and became kind of an Appalachian thing, and still is. And when I was age 8, I went down to Arkansas where my grandparents lived. And my grandfather passed away. I went down for his funeral. And I'm 8 years old, right? And I'm in the living room of my grandmother's house. And my folks are out picking up another cousin or something. So it's just me, grandma, aunts, and uncles in the kitchen. And they're talking about who's going to tell the bees. And grandma says, well, that's my job. I should do that. So we piled in Uncle Ray's big 59 Cadillac. And we drive down to buy the barn at the side of the field where they have like 15 beehives. And this custom goes back, if you Google John Zepka, Zepka, 1956, you'll find an example of this. If you don't tell the bees, they'll either die or they'll move away from the hive. They'll go somewhere else, relocate. So she took these black pieces of cloth, about a foot square, and put one on every single hive on top, and then took a glass of sweet wine and set it on top of the hive in the middle. And she stood back, and in a loud voice, she says, with her country accent, of course, I want you to know Charles died 2 nights ago, and his funeral will be this afternoon at 4:00. But he wants you to know that he loves you, and he doesn't want you to leave or go somewhere else. It'll be my hands in your hive, or Kenneth's hands in your hive instead of Charles. But we want you to stay. And, I'm confused. I mean, my Uncle Ray's walking me back to the car, and I'm like, Uncle Ray, or Uncle Kenneth, those are just bugs. Why do you got to tell bugs that somebody died in the family?
Right.
And he said, they're not just bugs. He said, they're a part of this farm, just like the cows, just like the cats. And he said, if you don't tell them and somebody else's hand is in the hive, they'll think they've been betrayed, or they might move, or they might just all die. And he said, you've got to do this. And if you look at that, I think the story was in it.
I've got 14,200 results about John Zepka and what happened in 1956. I have never heard of this before. Don't go tell the bees that I'm gone. Go tell the bees. It's millions, millions. I had no idea. I've never heard of this before. My mind is blown right now.
The big thing right now is consciousness, and we're all talking about consciousness. And here you're looking at collective consciousness. You know, they call it a hive mentality. But, you know, John Zepka, for those who don't have the story in front of them, John Zepka passed away, and he was, quote, known as the man who had a way with bees. And at his funeral, now his wife went out and announced to the bees, John died last night, and his funeral was going to be at such and such a time, such a place. Well, at the gravesite, during the grave service, here come 14,000 bees and land all over the flowers and the drapes over the thing that, you know, that they lower the casket with, and the headstone, and they just covered it. But they didn't buzz. They didn't molest anybody. Nobody got stung. And they just sat there until the service was finished, and they started to lower the casket into the ground. And then they lifted up and en masse flew back to the Zepka farm.
It's right here at AP, right? Associated Press. The headlines: "A strange occurrence today at the funeral of John Zepka," and it's just news report after news report. That is unbelievable, unbelievable. Now, go tell the bees that I'm gone. Right? Just that is 55,700,000 hits on Google. I had no idea. I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, well, I witnessed it as a child, and it made a big impression on me. And, you know, it kind of shaped the way that I view animals. I think that we underestimate the intellect that they have and the feelings that they have. And, yeah, I mean, they're not just bugs. I mean, collectively, they've got something.
Well, you know what? I said this last week, last month. Let's go with last month. I said on the show, Terry, I said, if I was king of the world, right? I'm king of the world. I would make it illegal to kill a bee. I would. Prison time.
I agree with you 100%. And, you know, probably one of the biggest killers of bees is a herbicide.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I won't mention Bayer by name. Oops.
Yeah, you just did. And there are no pesticides at my house. I just won't do it. I feel really, I love the bees. You know, I do. And we've got, you know, watching them do their thing in our garden, it's just magnificent. It's
magic.
Oh, it's just magnificent. I've never heard of this before. And this is one of my favorite parts about doing the show is learning something. And I can only imagine how Twitter is going to react with this. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, go tell the bees. So, okay, so what's the book going to be about? Your experience?
The book is actually kind of a death anthology. It's about customs that deal with death. I kind of got the idea after I read Leslie Kane's book, Surviving Death.
Mm-hmm.
Consciousness thing is a hot topic right now. And, you know, you think about it and you wonder, you know, how is this possible? And yet, you know, we've been around as sentient, living human beings, smart people for 40,000 years. You know, a man from 40,000 years ago, if you took a baby from 40,000 years ago, a humanoid, a Homo sapien, and you brought them here and you raised them, and they would grow up to be an average person with the same intellect and the same gifts that God gave you and me both. So, but in those 40,000 years that man's been so smart, you know, there's not one animal we can sit down and have a conversation with. Not a single one. You know, I can't sit down with my cat and say, hey, Murray, how was your day? You know, we don't have that. We can't establish that dialogue despite all these tens of thousands of years. And then I think about, E.T. and about how some of the ways that they communicated with me have been so strange and so strained and so, unlike a dialogue or a conversation. They're doing the talking, I'm doing the listening mostly. And I guess, they probably have that same gap in intellect. They're probably 500 rungs up the evolutionary ladder from us. And just like I can't communicate with my cat, they have difficulty probably communicating with us. So
and it's not only, the big thing is the communication part. They may not even have vocal cords, right? So take that part out, right? And it is the big brain connecting with the small brain, the attempt at telepathy or some kind of some kind of entanglement. But it's understanding what they are saying. That's a whole nother conversation, right? You said 40,000 years, but if you went back just 100, 150 years ago to the Old West, and you're trying to communicate math or cell phones or trying to tell somebody on the wagon train what this thing does, they're not going to get that. No matter what you try to do. Well, it's the internet, and it's all the world's knowledge, and you can watch a movie on this. What's a movie? Well, you know what I mean? You just couldn't do it. You couldn't do it.
That gap is too big. It's too wide.
So how are we going to deal with 1,000,000 years? Not 100, right?
I'm happy to say that I don't think we have that problem. I think the problem's in their hands. And I'm just hoping that, I'm praying that they do it kindly and benevolently and are patient with us.
You just said because, and I cut you off. Because why?
Because, we're not on their level. We need from them empathy and understanding. And, they're on a different level. Just like I'm on a different level than Murray here, they're on a completely different level.
It's so funny. I keep going back, Terry, to this quote from Giorgio Tsoukalos, of all people, right? And we love Giorgio. But he said this one thing a few years ago on the show that has just stuck with me over the years. And this is what he said. He said, look, Jimmy, when it happens, the flying saucer on the White House lawn, when it happens, stairs come down, E.T. comes down, starts talking to us, we're going to find out that we were all wrong. Right? Just right there. And if you just think about how profound that statement is, no matter what we think, no matter what we think we know, from everybody that is discussing this, it doesn't matter. We're all wrong.
Doesn't that just dovetail very nicely with what Haima Shed said? That, that we're not ready till we understand the nature of space and spacecraft? And I still don't get that line.
Do you remember? Yes. In Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, in that book, the funniest, what is the answer to everything? 42.
42.
Huh? Right? It's just like, well, you ask, there it is. What are you going to do with it? Right?
Well, their numbers are supposedly sacred. There's sacred geometry, sacred numbers. I don't know where 42 falls in that, but, I've... Linda Moulton Howe did some amazing things with numbers and crop circles that just blew me away.
Are you going to be, we're at the end of the show. I know that we just saw each other a couple of weeks ago. Are you going to be appearing at any conferences?
No, I just got back from Sedona. I did 5 days in Sedona.
Right.
That was beautiful. But I don't have anything else planned. Contact in the Desert is digital. The Ozark Conference is digital. But I'm going to have a second shot in me by this weekend, and I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to try to go. I'd like to go out and do some in-person appearances because, you know what, I miss that. I miss that person-to-person contact. I miss the handshakes. I miss the hugs. I miss the, talking to people. And
we made a decision to do just that. We just decided enough of the online live streaming. No, we're going to go ahead and take the initiative, and we are going to do in-person only. So we've got a conference that we're doing, the UFO MegaCon. We're going to do that in June, and that's in Laughlin, Nevada. And then we're going to go do Paula Harris's conference, Starworks, in November, also in Laughlin. But I need to get out there. I need to get out there and hang out with you. I need to get out there and be with our people and do this. I'm going stir crazy just like everybody else. So if I'm going to put my foot... What's that?
It's where we belong.
Yes. I miss it, man. I miss it so much. All I want, my focus is this, and this is what I told Rita. I'm not joking about this. I want bar food, drinks, and people for as long as I can take it. All right? That's what I want. I want to go out and get bar food. Bring me some nachos and some sliders and an ice cold beer and people. And that's what I want. And so that's what we're going to do for the rest of the year.
God bless you. I got a little bit of that in Sedona, and I got to tell you, after a year without it, it was awfully nice. It was like a Brazilian steakhouse.
You look great. Terry, thank you so much, man. And we can't wait this long for the next time. And I look so forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy myself as always.
You're the best. Terry Lovelace, thank you so much. We just went poll to poll. I blew through commercials for this last half of the show, Terry. So there you go. Thank you so much, man. Be safe and be well.
Peace. Thanks.
Terry Lovelace. Again, it is very simple. TerryLovelace.com. The links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Incredible conversation tonight. Just incredible. Thank you so much, Terry. Faded Black's executive producer is Rita Camurian. Show was produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Viteau, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, SpaceboyMusic.com. Faded Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. Broadcast owned and copyrighted 2021 by Faded Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Faded Black and the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, show number 1401. It's Thursday. It's Fader night. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.